us today. On behalf of BLHP Better Life Happier People, I'm delighted to welcome you all to today's webinar titled RERA Delays and Delivery Developer's Perspective. The real estate sector in India has undergone significant transformation since the introduction of the RERA Act 2016, commonly known as RERA. While RERA has played an important role in strengthening transparency, accountability, and protection for home buyers, it has also created a new regulatory landscape that developers must navigate carefully. Today's session is focused on understanding RERA from the developer's perspective, particularly the reality surrounding project delays, regulatory compliances, and delivery challenges in the current real scenario. Before we proceed to get discussions, webinars, and collaborative initiatives, BLHP seeks to create meaningful conversations that bridge the gap between professionals, students, policymakers, and public. Our goal is to encourage constructive dialogue on real-world challenges across sectors such as law, governance, business, and regulation. Today's discussion on RERA and the developer's perspective is an important step in fostering balanced conversations with the real estate ecosystem. It is now my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guest speaker for today. We are honored to have Mr. Rahul Jhamb, sir, owner of Restate Realty, with us. Mr. Rahul Jhamb brings valuable industry insights as a professional, working closely with the real estate sector and property advisory ecosystem. Through his work at Restate Realty, he has gained significant experience in understanding market dynamics, developer challenges, project delivery, timelines, and regulatory compliance under RERA. He has also been actively engaged in discussions surrounding real estate governance, regulatory frameworks, contributing practical perspectives, and help bridge the gap between policy and ground-level implementation. Mr. Jhamb is also closely associated with BLHP, Better Life Happier People, and has been an active participant in our discussions and initiatives aimed at encouraging dialogue on law, governance, and policy-related issues. We are delighted to have him today with us to share his insights on RERA, project delays, and realities of delivery from the developer's perspective. Thank you for joining us today, sir. To keep this session interactive, I will begin with asking sir a few moderated questions. So, sir, my first question is, what are the most common challenges faced while complying with RERA provisions?
Good evening, all. I've been into real estate from last 15 years and I've faced many challenges. Anshita, I've asked a question that what are the most common challenges faced while complying with RERA provisions. Actually, RERA turned up to be a lifeline for real estate, actually, because before that, there are like no compliances, nothing for the buyer side, actually. And after RERA, things are quite changed. So if we are talking about like builder's perspective, they're like discipline is also increasing in the sector, but it also came with some certain practical challenges. One of the major issue is documentation and approval dependencies, and it is according state to state. Let's say if you're talking about UP, so you do have like single window licensing for everything. But if we are another way is if you're coming towards Haryana or any other areas, so there is like a very big channel for all this stuff. So a developer's ability to comply with timelines is often linked to approvals from multiple authorities, such as forest clearances, environmental clearances, municipal approvals, utility connections, everything. जो कि builder के directly control में नहीं होते. So things are like quite frisky for builders at times. So the timeline, the RERA timelines actually. So generally builders start selling on the soft launches and all this stuff with EOIs and all. But after that, RERA compliance will take like major time, like 3 to 4 months, 5 months in some cases as well. And if we're talking about like state level RERA implementation can create uncertainty because this is not under central control. Earlier, it used to be central control, but every state do have their different RERA practices as well. So the compliances are like not uniform for all the builders in all states. And there's like another challenge which builders are facing that is under escrow account mechanism actually. So your builder have to place like 70% of the total sale amount into the escrow account mechanisms only, which in respect impact the cash flow flexibility for builders. Because where external delay occurs, but let's say every year we face like 2 months NGT ban. Every year. So the workers went to their hometowns, and after that, they are taking like almost after 2 months, they'll take like another 15-20 days to return as well. So you can say that we can work like 9 months in a year only due to those NGT bans and all. So that also increased the timing of the construction and deliveries as well. Earlier, it used to be more like mid-rise society, but now we are making like actual high rises in the market, which is like 40-story, 45-story. So structure itself will take like 2.5 to 3 years. And the finishing will take like another 2.5 years. So the RERA timing for the project would be around 5 to 5.5 years, but the RERA is providing like 4.5 years time to the building. And in various cases, builders start practicing with like better way of constructions. Like my one construction, they have introduced like almost 5, 6, 7 years back. Earlier, they used to do red brick construction, but now they are doing concrete construction to reduce the timing of the delivery. That is not cost effective, that is time effective only. That is like quite costlier than the normal construction which we are doing. So, so overall, while compliance is achievable and necessary, the challenges are largely arise from external dependencies and operational realities rather than the intent.
Fine, sir. So then moving on to the next question. My next question is, what are the key factors that contribute to delays in project delivery despite RERA?
Delays are like a very serious problem, not today or not in the past years. It is actually starting from the 2002, 2004 when Gurgaon and Noida start rising. So we are facing that problem from those days only. In some cases, builder launched their project in 2010 and these are not yet complete. So delays are always a very big concern, but that's a kind of a problem which is not only through customer side or buyer side, that would be around from government side as well. The reason being, regulatory approval delays are always a big problem and time consuming. Let's say if you're talking about RERA offices. So earlier RERA offices, there is only one RERA office in Haryana, that is in Panchkula. So every builder in Haryana from each district, they have to go to Panchkula to every time to resolve their queries as well. And from past 2, 3, 4 years, they have set up a new office in Gurgaon as well. But they have to start placing like different offices in Haryana to move like on the fast track version. Maybe they could place their head offices in Panchkula, but they should have district offices uh, or a kind of a office in a district where almost 3, 4, 5 districts can easily approach. And they should have like some sort of civil team they should hire a civil team as well, which will go and prosecute the sites on regular intervals. So approval delays are often sequential and time consuming. Litigation and land related disputes are earlier, but now these days they're like low land related disputes are found. But that could be very painful if there is any litigation or land related issue. And that's generally found in collaboration related projects. And changes in government policies and regulations are like or regulation build projects. Supply chain disruptions, which are basically occurred after COVID 19 and COVID 21, finally slowed down the market affecting cash flow cycles. That is again a kind of a escrow account mechanism because the big builders or listed players can play around with the low money, but the new builders, new startups, they need regular money. So they have to intervene the money. So government should hire a sort of a civil team which will go and check their stages, and they can rather holding 70% of money, they'll start releasing 10% on each cycle which they have completed. So that could help the builder as well to obtain the money in hand and do construction of that money. And it is important to note that under RERA, developers are already liable for delays, including interest payments. So there is a built-in accountability mechanism, but that is for consumers only. But builders should have gain like more time because like there's an example which I've shared with someone a few days before. If you're working on Dwarka Expressway, Gurgaon, Dwarka Expressway earlier used to be a wetland where you can say कि गुड़गांव का सारा पानी वहां पे dump करते थे लोग. So land is full of water. So when builders start construction, he have to clean that water from the land. And government has made a separate reservoir for that stuff. So generally, when they are sucking that water from the land, so it will take almost 1 to 1.5 years. So automatically, time frame of that construction will be increased by 1 and 1.5 years. But we promise to the customer that builder will give you that construction in 4.5 years, and that is not possible. That is like very clear. A builder needs more time in that kind of areas. That's why I'm saying again and again that they should hire a kind of a civil team who would have idea of constructions that they have to make a D-wall in that area. D-wall is like a kind of a mandate because अगर वो D-wall नहीं बनाते तो आज आसपास की societies को भी major issues और major problems face करनी पड़ सकती है. So that is like required in various areas actually. But they should place a civil team in like each district, I can say. And for a more balanced system, there is a need to also recognize force majeure situation and third-party dependencies which directly affect the time.
Noted, sir. Moving on to the next question. Does the current RERA framework adequately consider developer challenges?
Actually, yes, in some cases. However, from a developer standpoint, there are areas where the framework could evolve further to reflect some practical challenges. Like delays caused by government authorities or approval bodies are not always proportionally accounted for. There is a limited flexibility in project timelines once committing. A more structured organization of the force major and external constraints could be more beneficial for everybody, for buyer, builder, broker, everybody actually. And they're like sometimes they're like problems from middleman management as well. As far as concerned, I am also a real estate consultant. But at times when we have like push to sale from the company, so people start start giving wrong commitments. That not as through the brokers, that actually start from the government departments only. If you're talking about in terms of delivery point, actually. So that's the intent of RERA is not in question. Even intent of anybody is not in question. Buyers go through their very good intent that they're going to buy a house. Builder is selling their projects. People will get house and they'll make some profit out of it. Brokers do have also a good intent, but it has brought much needed transparency and accountability. The next step is to create a more balanced framework where both buyers' rights and developers' constraints are addressed in a very practical manner.
Right, sir. I truly agree with whatever you have said. Moving on to the next question. What changes would you suggest in a future RERA 2.0?
First of all, if you look a future version like RERA 2.0, the focus could be on refinement rather than overhaul. Some practical suggestions could be single window clearance systems to reduce approval delays, time-bound approvals by authorities similar to developer obligations, a greater uniformity across states in RERA implementation, clearer guidelines on force majeure and external days, and central government should keep some track on state RERA departments as well. Strengthening digital tracking and transparency tools. Uh, the idea should be to ensure that compliance is practical and timelines are realistic while continuing to protect home buyers. A more collaborative regulatory approach would benefit all stakeholders. And I do have a very good example these days. Maybe you have heard about a city named Dholera that is in Gujarat. Dholera is a very big city. The government is planning. That's a kind of a dream project of. They have placed a building named ABCD building in Dholera where you will get all sort of clearances, all sort of licensing through one window. So that is like one of the perfect example in India these days because that city going to be a semiconductor city very soon. Tata is coming up with a 95,000 crores investment. Some Japanese companies are coming up with 25,000 crores investment. Linde Gas has already signed their MOU. Renew Energy is already operational. They do have dedicated IT zone, residential zone, industrial zones. That kind of SIR, that's a SIR. That's you can relate SIR to Singapore actually. So they are making a different SIR, and that's a 960 square kilometer city. So that's going to be another landmark or another feather in the cap of India, you can say, in terms of real estate and structuring. And that's the only city where you'll get like all the clearances within the right time, within the scheduled time. They have placed IS officers as they are managing the complete office. So that is the kind of a network we are looking for. Actually, not for only Gujarat. We need it for India through buyers perspective and builder perspective as well. And you actually, we don't want to work for buyers only. We have to work for builders. We have to work for brokers to keep like reform and a kind of a better platform for everybody.
Definitely, sir. We are grateful for the example that you have told about Gujarat. Next question. How can collaboration improve project delivery timelines?
Improving delivery timelines requires coordination, not only stakeholders or not just developers. That includes some various practical steps like faster and more transparent approval by the authorities, better communication between developers and buyers to manage expectations, use of technology for a project tracking and disclosures, which builders are doing nowadays. Like some bigger builder already start taking the initiative for that. So they'll give you like regular construction links and everything that you can watch your dream comes into reality. Involvement of professional consultants and compliance experts early in the project lifecycle. And if you're talking from the developer side, there is already increased focus on planning, compliance, and transparency positions and post and revenue. And if all stakeholders, developers, regulators, and buyers work in the alignment timelines, can become much more predictable and aligned. And that could give you a kind of a ease for everybody that people are getting their houses on time, people are getting their commercials on time. They'll never feel that they'll be cheated or they have done a very bad investment in life. They're like bad phases in the life of everybody. But house is something people have people involve their like lifetime hardened incomes into that.
Moving on to the questions of BLHP relation with the process of RERA. How can platforms like BLHP contribute to making RERA more effective at the ground level, especially in terms of awareness and compliance?
BLHP is actually a kind of an initiative which I have never seen in my 15 years career before. Uh, the main motto, जो actually मेरे को समझ में आता है, that is like bridging gap between buyers builders. Because lack of communication is like one of the biggest drawback in real estate. Fake communication or lack of communication. So platforms like BHP can play a very meaningful role at the ground level, particularly in bridging the gap between law as it exists on paper and how it understood in the practice. One of the key areas is awareness. Many stakeholders, especially individual home buyers and smaller developers, may not fully understand their respective rights and obligations under the law. Platforms like BHP can actually help and simplify and disseminate this information in an accessible manner. Secondly, such initiatives can encourage voluntary compliance by promoting clarity. When stakeholders clearly understand regulatory expectations, it reduces the likelihood of unintentional non-compliances. Thirdly, by hosting discussions with professionals from different backgrounds, BLHP helps bring out practical challenges and interpretations, which are often but not captured in formal regulations, but are important for effective implementation. So overall, awareness-driven discussion-based platforms can strengthen the effectiveness of RERA without necessarily requiring regulatory challenges. And BLHP could play a very big role in making RERA 2.0 and help people and builders, brokers, they should come together and should be the part of this kind of initiative to ease their life actually. And that's an initiative. And the best part is that's a sort of a NGO, that's a non-profit organization.
Moving on to a last question of the moderated section segment, sir. Can platforms like BLHP help bring stakeholders together and influence future reforms like RERA 2.0?
Yes, you can say you're right, and you can say that platforms like BHP can contribute in a constructive way, particularly by facilitating multi-stakeholder dialogue. Regulatory frameworks like RERA evolve over time, and one important input for that evaluation is feedback from the ground level, actually. From developers, legal professional, consultants, and even home buyers. They should be like also the part of that, and their feedback is also necessary. Platforms like BLHP can act as a neutral space where these perspectives are discussed in a structured and informed manner. While such platforms may not directly influence policy, they can certainly help in shaping informed conversations and highlighting areas where improvements may be needed, and maybe we have soon started from something very soon. Additionally, consistent dialogue can lead to better alignment of expectation among stakeholders, which in itself can improve how the current framework operates. So their role is more in enabling informed discourse and knowledge exchange, which indirectly supports better policy development and implementation over the time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jhamb, sir, for that extremely insightful and practical discussion. Your perspective on how regulatory expectations, market realities, and operational challenges intersect within the real estate sector has been incredibly valuable. Moving on to our last session of question and answer session, we would love any participants who have any questions. They can raise their hand or drop their questions in the chat box, please. We have a question, sir. Should RERA 2.0 address government approval delays? If yes, then how?
Actually, this is not here to address government approval delays. Actually, we just want a kind of a single window for like all the approvals, and we are raising this as a request to government if they'll make like single window for everything, because there is a certain procedure in making uh, reality into a shape actually. So we start from LOI. LOI will individually take 1 month or more than 1 month's time. After that, after 1.5 months, we'll get our license. Then we'll submit building sanction plans. Then we'll get RERA. So this whole exercise itself is a 6 to 8 months exercise. And people start selling their products on a license only. After that, they have to submit their building sanction plans. That will take 2 months. And then RERA will take another 3, 4 months. And the EOI, let's say you're giving a EOI of 50 lakhs, say 25 lakhs. So that is like standstill in the builders. So you are raising the expression of it, right?
So,
Yes, RERA definitely affect new project launches. As I've already told, that there is a certain process which we have to follow to get the RERA number for any project. And this is where actual problem starts. RERA is a time procedure that will take like almost 3 months. The builder have to take every single documents to be verified by the RERA only. Let's say about BBA, allotment letters, everything. So they have to keep like the first copy they have given to RERA that we are doing this. These are the highlights which we are entering into the BBA. And after that, RERA rolls actually suddenly stops. So RERA actually affects the new project launches, you can say.
fine, sir. Thank you to all the participants for those thoughtful questions, and thank you, Mr. Jhamb, for addressing them in such a detailed and practical manner. As we
Thank
come
you.
to the end of today's session, I would like to
There are
express
like,
my sincere gratitude. Yeah, sorry, sir.
sorry, there are like some more questions. What are the changes we need to recommend for brokers, some training, etc.
Yeah, sir, might have missed them. You can attend those questions. Shall I read them to you,
Uh,
sir?
that's fine. What are the changes we need to recommend for brokers, some training, etc.? Yes, that's the most needed part because we should plan a kind of levels for brokers actually, like platinum, diamond, gold, silver, everything. Reason being, or newcomers in a different way, and we should start their examinations for RERA. Let's say if anybody wants a RERA, let's Anshita wants to apply for a RERA number. She just have to go to the Panchkula or Gurgaon office, just fill a form, just fill the fees, and you will get your RERA. So this is not the right way of getting the RERA certification. Let's say if you're moving to other countries like Australia, Canada, New Zealand, US, so they do have actual real estate license and they'll get it after examination. And government charge some license retention fees every month. So yes, they are like highly recommended for that the government should start some examinations or some training sessions for the brokers as well.
Noted, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I hope there are no questions left that I missed on.
Thank you.
I hope there are not. Okay. Your perspectives on RERA compliance, developer challenges, and realities of the project delivery in the real estate sector have provided a deeper understanding, sir. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today and making this discussion interactive. At
Thank
BLHP
you.
Better Life Happier People, we look forward to bringing more such meaningful conversations in the future. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
sir.
all.